Hey everyone, Micah with MovieMaker magazine. Today I got a chance to talk to Denis Villeneuve on his movie Dune. We talk about the craft of filmmaking and the cinematic language behind Dune and what he's learned as a filmmaker throughout his career. I hope you enjoy. Here we go. Congrats on your Oscar nominations. Are you
Thank
excited?
you. Yes. It was a beautiful
Yeah.
compliment. Yeah. I was not, frankly, if you had told me that a few months ago that we will be in the Oscar race, that we will have that kind of recognition, I would have not believed you. I mean, it's really moving. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so bummed to see that you weren't nominated for Best Director though, as a fan.
It's you're thank you, but it's like those things are. How can I say that? If you are nominated, it's a beautiful thing. If you are not, it's not. I don't take things for granted.
Yeah.
It's like, and I was pleased, deeply pleased, but with what we got. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Denis, I got 4 questions for you today. Um, I'm a filmmaker myself, and a lot of my questions are going to be a lot about the craft. And I'm super curious about your process in making this film. So, my first question for you is, what was the first step in creating the camera language for Dune?
The thing is that it all started with the starting point that I wanted the movie to be as visceral and intimate as possible. I want the movie to be visceral. Like when I read the book at 13 years old, I identify with Paul Atreides. There's a lot of characters in the book, but I really identify with the journey of that boy. And so I decided at first that the camera would be just above his shoulder, that the movie scene would be seen from his perspective, and that we will discover the world, and what we will learn about this world will always be seen mostly through his eyes. My goal was, my dream was to be exclusively with him, but it was not possible for storytelling. Sometimes I have to go outside. But so the language was immersive language, meaning that the more we will get out of his comfort zone, the more the camera will be free and will open and will embrace the world according to his perspective. Then there was this idea that the world that it was discovering was too big for him to grasp at one glance. So I always tried to frame things in a way that the camera is not that doesn't have the proper distance to embrace the whole reality. You have to pan. You have to try to find out that because the objects are too far way too big, the reality is far way too much powerful to be embraced at one glance. And I tried to create a language that is inspiring himself from human faces and landscape, to always be in relationship with the impact of the landscape on my character. And because this movie at the end of the day is a journey of a boy that goes the deeper he goes into the desert, the deeper he goes, the movie becomes introspective, and this new landscape, and from that landscape, this new culture that it will meet will transform himself. So I really tried with the cinema to create that sensation of following a character that immerses himself and goes deeper and deeper into a landscape. So always being in contact with his reactions, intimacy, and massive scope. No real intermediates.
Yeah, I noticed now. Wait, when Paul first gets to Arrakis, you do that shot. Oh, you do the shots of the crowd when they're yelling that he's the voice from the other world, and you do that from a distance too. So it's not just like in the environment; it's from his inner this mythology storyline too, that they're trying to make him this messiah. And
Yes, and it's important because it's something that needs to be seen from his point of view, because he's reluctant. He doesn't agree with this idea. Is for him, it's something that is an idea that has been, it's a colonizer idea. He doesn't want to embrace that. He doesn't believe in that, and I wanted him to feel the strangeness of that situation where he doesn't know, he's unsure himself of what is happening, and his mother will explain them later, and when they got in more an intimate environment, and he will be not shocked, but like it will be abrasive to this idea, definitely.
yeah, you do the same thing with like any kind of Bene Gesserit idea. I remember there's a shot that I really loved. It's such a small thing too. When they're having breakfast in the morning, and she asked him to use the voice, you do this shot where you kind of go outside and like a little bit more medium, and then when he actually uses the voice, you go into the close up because it's like that feeling of like the Benny Gesserit way is kind of uncomfortable for him too. I really like those little touches.
The book is a very internal book. It's a book that is constructed with you are following. You have access to the thoughts of the characters, and the idea here was to try to translate this approach without having to hear their inner process. It's what I was really trying to, with the actors acting, if I can say, was trying to make sure that the audience will understand how each character goes into and feel their strategies and their paranoia in each scene.
Yeah, that's a good transition to my next question is there a major difference in directing actors in something like this epic genre style movie versus like a more grounded movie like Prisoners or even Arrival, you know, is a little bit more like on Earth. Like, how do you get your actors to be where you need them to be?
Frankly, I will say is the same thing. The difference is pre-production, where you have to construct something around them, you have to build something around them, you have to create a world. But once I'm on set, it's technically the same process, because at the end of the day, what will be interesting is the way as human being they react to events or go through evolve as human beings. So it's they are human, so it's the same. The challenge will be to make sure that in all the madness of that world building, there's a bubble of eye concentration around the camera, and that bubble is respected and protected. And so the big difference between an indie movie and a big Hollywood movie is the time it takes from your car to the camera. When you're indie movie, it's like a few meters, but when you are like a Hollywood movie, you have to cross, you have to focus, because you're gonna cross many people and many. But once you are around the camera, it's the same.
Yeah. How do you feel your style has changed since, let's say, like Prisoners to Arrival to Blade Runner and like Dune? Is there anything that you've learned from each of those projects that you've brought into the next?
Definitely. I mean, it's like each movie is a learning experience, and that's a beauty. You learn as an artist, as a filmmaker. You learn as a human being as well. You are the bigger the challenges, bigger are the movie is like a wild horse that tries to push you out of his back, and you will learn things about your ego, about yourself, about your skills, and you will be pushed to your limits in order to be able to control the horse. I mean, it's like and I'm riding horses that are more and more powerful. So it's like, yeah, I'm learning tons of things, tons in each project. And that's the thing, that is the day that I will stop learning, maybe I will stop making movies. It's like that's the joy, is that I always feel that there's space for improvement. And that's the truth.
Yeah. From your last movie, Blade Runner, what was the difference you would think the biggest difference between the camera language between that and Dune?
But I think that the big difference is that with Roger, we went back to a language that was familiar to us, in a way that it was more monolithic and simple, more pure language, probably. With Dune, there's like the idea that the language will evolve as the movie moves forward. I mean, it's like there's this idea that the movie start like when the world is stable, and that the things are for Paul are all grounded. The language is very grounded, very traditional, and the more the movie evolves, the more Paul is in contact with that call for the freedom from the desert. The more the camera becomes handheld, and the more the movie becomes free, and there's like the language in a way become more deconstructed as the movie evolves. So that's the big difference, I think.
You make some really great choices in your shots that I feel that really amplify like the cinematic storytelling of the movie. Like for example, when like Paul is facing the Gom Jabbar, right? You juxtapose him with like Lady Jessica, and they're almost in like the very same frame. And
Mhm.
as Jessica is like dealing with her fear, like and working through it the same way that Paul is working through it, you frame them almost exactly the same. And I was wondering, how much is that is something that you've pre-planned by yourself or collaborated with your DP and editor, or is that something you just find on set?
No, it's something that I plan along with my storyboard artist. When I come with a, I like for scenes like that specifically, it's something that was storyboarded because it's like in the screenplay. By the way, it was in the screenplay as well. I have to say it's important. It's like it has been written that way. The
Mhm.
idea that we will feel the education, Paul's education, and we will feel the link with the mother and the I wanted to juxtapose the inner turmoil of Lady Jessica having to deal with the pressure of being a Bene Gesserit, but at the same time having all the humanity of a mother and having that clash be seen on screen as Paul has experienced that pain and to by doing so creating that link that we feel that Paul has been through all this education himself and the bond between them. And it's something that we wrote the scene this way, and then I storyboarded the scene this way, and we shot it this way.
I noticed also there's a lot of juxtaposition between the shots in Caladan and Arrakis too, where you I love the way you like the very first image of Paul where it's like raining and you kind of feel like there's like the shot of like rain kind of like going over him, and like the big importance of moisture and
Mm-hmm.
water in this movie is something that I think was done so well. And I was wondering like how much of that how much of like how much how like I know the book is like a really like big like every chance it gets is like we need water, like or sacrificing your water. But I was wondering like the way you introduce, there's a shot in Caladan where the very first sound you hear is like um is Zendaya's character saying that my planet is most beautiful when the sun is low, and right before they leave for Caladan you do a very similar shot where Caladan we see the sun very low and he's putting his hand in the water. And I remember that. And I was wondering, like, do you plan those kinds of juxtapositions too? Like, or do you just kind of like play around with the actors?
No, no, no. It's there's something that when you do a move like that in the as you write the screenplay, there's like you are trying to create a melody. You're trying to create inner currents that will be meaningful or at least will have an impact on the audience mind or in its the audience perception in order to you have what the movie is saying at the surface, and you're trying to build layers that people will perceive, not necessarily intellectually, but will subliminal, in a
Feel
subliminal.
it, yeah,
Yeah,
sensually on one
yeah,
level.
yeah, yeah. And they are like, um, I'm trying as much as possible to plan these things in advance, and so they have the proper power. I mean, it's like the idea of having the presence of water in almost every shot in one way or the other. It's like rain, the shadows of raindrop on an actor's face, or having moistures in the air, or clouds, or the ocean, of course. Or there's something that there was it came from a visual research and thinking about how can we uh, in a subliminal way and trying in a more elegant, poetical way how to bring a clash between the ecosystem of both planets. Ecosystems, the biology is at the heart of the book, and I wanted to make sure that we will be as close to the spirit as possible.
Yeah, and you fucking killed it, man. I loved it. Uh, so my last question to you, man. Yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm a big Lawrence of Arabia fan, and I haven't been like this excited about a movie like a desert movie, I guess. But like it really made me feel like I was watching Lawrence of Arabia for the first time again.
Wow, that's a
So that
massive
was
compliment because
yeah,
it's one of my favorite movie of
yeah, it's one of
the
my favorite movies. On my birthday one year, I asked all my friends to come see it with me. I had a movie theater put it up. Nobody showed up but me because it's a
wow.
4-hour version.
Yeah, I had a similar experience when I was, I don't know how old you are, but I think I was about 19 years old or 18 years old. And I show up to the projection of Lawrence of Arabia, a new 70 millimeter print in Montreal, and I was alone in the theater. I was alone,
Yeah,
and I remember I was a film student at that time, at the beginning, and it changed my life. I mean, it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, it's a master class into filmmaking, and still
yeah.
is one of my by far one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, and people who complain about the length really make me angry because it's like by the time you're done with that movie, you feel like Lawrence does. Like you're just like, I don't want to be in the desert anymore. Like, like I'm tired. Like that last shot of him leaving, I've always loved. What advice do you have to filmmakers out there who are trying to get to this level of filmmaking? Like, is there anything you learned through your filmmaking that you would give any movie maker out there, like you should try this?
But honestly, something that really helped me tremendously when I was a young filmmaker. I was out of film school, and I had a chance at the time to do. I was hired to do several small documentaries, 5 minute documentaries done with a single camera, alone around the world. So I spent a year shooting tiny documentaries, and that changed my life. That the idea to be alone with a camera, trying to embrace reality in a way that would be cinematic, to develop an intimate relationship with the camera, meaning that it becomes an extension of yourself, and that you are like trying to figure out when something happened, when the cow is walking in the field, and it will happen one time and the sun is going down, and where do I put my camera so it means something, so it becomes a cinematic image that has a meaning, and that means something else than just a cow walking on the field at the end of the day. And that to create poetry. So it's like that. I will encourage, if you are a young filmmaker, even with your iPhone, but to go out and be in contact with life and shoot life.
Thank you so much for listening to this MovieMaker interview with Denis Villeneuve. I hope that the next time you go out and make your movie, that you really take in what it means to film life. As always, if you enjoyed this conversation, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.